There is a silence, not of idleness, but of supreme power, a quiet space within the soul where the universe listens. To relax is not to surrender hope, but to trust so deeply that you no longer need to grasp. You let go of strain and control, not because you are careless, but because you understand the secret laws of creation. That which is truly yours is already reaching for you. You do not chase the stars. You align yourself with them and they light your way. You don't demand the seed to grow. You simply water it, shield it, and trust the process of unfolding. The universe is not deaf to your desires. It is attentive. It is faithful. It is exact. You see, everything you are seeking, wealth, love, healing, peace, is already yours in the unseen. It exists now, not in some future far-off realm, but in the timeless storehouse of consciousness. When you relax, when you stop panicking about the how and the when, you open the portal for it to arrive. The anxious mind is a closed door. The relaxed soul is an open gate. You do not make the manifestation happen through stress, through effort, through striving. You allow it to be drawn to you by becoming a vibrational match to its presence. You relax because you know. You relax because you trust. You relax because you already possess it in consciousness. Let the world rush around you if it must, but you remain still. Be calm in the knowing that what is for you cannot miss you. Your desire is not a cry in the dark. It is a spark ignited in divine intelligence. The very moment you imagined it, it was planted. The moment you accepted it, it began its journey to you. And the moment you relaxed into the feeling of already having it, you became magnetized to it, not because of luck, not because of effort, but because that's how the universe operates. Like calls to like. The inner shapes the outer. So stop asking when it will come. Stop peering anxiously into the future. Instead, close your eyes and feel it here. Sit in the presence of the fulfilled state. Enter into its rhythm. Feel the warmth of the answered prayer, the joy of the dream come true, the peace of knowing you are cared for by something greater than you. The universe is not trying to test your patience. It is trying to train your faith. It doesn't delay because it doubts you. It delays because it waits for you to become steady in the state of reception. And that steadiness comes from inner stillness. When you relax, your imagination becomes clearer. You're no longer polluted by fear or doubt. You create purely, joyfully, consciously. You become a vessel for divine orchestration. You stop trying to force and begin to allow. You stop running and start attracting. You stop worrying and start witnessing. Your life transforms not because you did more, but because you believed more deeply and rested in that belief. Most people think manifestation is about intense effort. They think it's about constantly affirming, doing, achieving. But the deeper mystery is this. Manifestation is relaxation. When you can feel what you want and then surrender into the stillness of its certainty, that is when the miracle begins. That is when doors open without effort, when people arrive at the perfect moment, when opportunities fall into place like divine puzzle pieces. You don't manifest by force. You manifest by alignment. And you align by relaxing. So breathe, smile. Let go of the tension in your chest. Lay down your mental weapons. Stop fighting time. Feel the beauty of now. Feel the presence of the answer within you. Let your entire being whisper, it is done. This is the secret that changes lives. Not the grinding, not the obsession, but the surrender, the relaxed certainty that says, I am already what I desire to be. The universe isn't far. It's not withholding. It doesn't need convincing. It only needs your inner conviction. And that comes through peace, through quiet confidence, through your ability to live from the end without doubting the journey. Relax. The universe is not just listening, it's moving. Everything is already being arranged. Everything is already coming. Everything is already yours. To relax is to finally understand that you are not here to force the universe into compliance. You are here to remember your divine partnership with it. So many individuals misunderstand the nature of manifestation because they believe that more effort, more force, and more struggle will yield better results. But the spiritual laws do not bend to pressure. They respond to alignment. And alignment is only possible when the mind, body, and spirit are in a state of inner harmony, when you are still enough to hear the whisper of your own assumptions. Relaxation is not laziness, it is mastery. It is the art of knowing that what you have asked for is already being arranged in ways you cannot see. It is the highest form of confidence, the deepest expression of faith. Think of a gardener who plants a seed. He does not return to the soil every hour to dig it up and see if it has grown. He trusts the unseen process. He understands that his job is not to make the seed grow, but to create the right conditions for its growth. Sunlight, water, and time. These are the invisible allies of manifestation. The gardener relaxes, not because he is careless, but because he understands how life works. He honors the process. The same is true for you. When you have planted your desire through imagination and faith, the most powerful thing you can do next is relax and prepare to receive. Worry is like digging up the seed. Anxiety is like overwatering. Desperation chokes the soil, but calmness nourishes. Relaxation breathes life into what you have claimed within. When you relax, you step into agreement with your higher self. You affirm that the world you desire is not something distant, but something forming now in the unseen. You signal to your subconscious mind that there is no danger, no lack, no reason to fear, and the subconscious obeys your state of being. It is not interested in words. You can declare all the affirmations in the world, but if they are soaked in fear, they do not reach the level of creation. However, when you say nothing but carry the stillness of knowing, the universe moves mountains in your favor. The relaxed soul sends out a signal of wholeness, of completion. It says, I am already what I desire to be, and the world must mirror that. Relaxation dissolves resistance. When you are tense, your energy is split. Part of you may believe in your dream, but another part is clinging to fear, doubt, or a desperate attachment to outcome. This split creates static in your field and blocks the free flow of creation. But the moment you relax, truly relax, you become whole again. All parts of you agree. Your body becomes soft. Your breath becomes deep. Your mind becomes open. And in that sacred alignment, manifestation happens not as a miracle, but as a law. What you relax into, you allow, and what you allow, you receive. Most people think they must chase after life, but life is trying to meet them at the level of their inner calm. There is something deeply spiritual about the act of relaxing in the face of uncertainty. It says that you trust in a power greater than your own reasoning. It says that you no longer need to know the how or the when. You are content to dwell in the knowing that it is done. This kind of relaxation is not weakness. It is the embodiment of spiritual maturity. You stop reacting to appearances. You stop being disturbed by the delay. You stop living from the outer and begin living from the inner. You carry a calm assurance that you are the center of your reality, and that all things are being drawn to you according to your dominant feeling. Relaxation becomes your sacred proof that you already have what you seek. When you are relaxed, you are able to imagine more clearly. The static of stress no longer clouds your vision. You can return to your inner scene with ease. See yourself living the life you want, feel it, touch it, breathe it. And in that moment, you are living it in truth. The outer world has no choice but to conform to that internal state. There is nothing passive about this kind of relaxation. It is a powerful act of creation. It is your declaration to the universe that you are no longer begging, you are believing. You are no longer asking, you are allowing. You are no longer chasing, you are aligning. And this shift changes everything. The world has taught you that rest is earned, that peace comes after results, that stillness must be justified by performance. But in truth, the spiritual realm works in reverse. You rest first, and then creation flows. You feel it real, and then the reality appears. You surrender your anxiety, and then the path becomes clear. Your power lies not in the frantic need to control, but in the sacred art of letting go. And the more you relax, the more you realize that things fall into place, not by your command, but by your calm. Sine, you are not here to prove anything to the universe. You are here to remember your oneness with it. And when you truly remember, your heart quiets, your mind settles, your body breathes. You relax not because you've given up, but because you've finally tuned in. You no longer worry if your desires are too big. You no longer fear the delay. You no longer question your worthiness. You know that what you have imagined is already created. You know that what you feel deeply will manifest naturally. You know that the universe in all its intelligence is organizing what you have claimed internally. And because you know, you no longer panic. You no longer plead. You simply relax and let it come. What you desire is not something far from you, hidden behind locked doors or buried under miles of impossibility. It is present, real, and waiting for your recognition. Not in the outer world, but in the unseen dimension where all things are born. The physical world is merely the echo of the unseen. It reflects the inner pattern that you have accepted as real. So when you hold a desire in your heart and believe in its reality before it arrives, you are not daydreaming, you are creating. And the act of creation always begins in the invisible. Just because you cannot touch it yet does not mean it is not already yours. The truth is, the moment you imagined it with feeling, it was formed. The universe does not delay its part. It responds instantly. It is the mind that doubts, not the universe. Your desire is a sign that the thing you seek is already a spiritual possibility, ready to become physical reality. You were never meant to chase it in fear. You were meant to align with it in consciousness. When you close your eyes and feel the truth of your wish fulfilled, you are stepping into the same space from which all things are created. You are no longer outside the blessing, waiting to be invited in. You are already living inside the answered prayer. And the world must catch up with your belief. This is the great mystery that the world overlooks. It teaches you to believe only what you see, to accept only what can be measured. But manifestation is not born from what is visible. It emerges from what is deeply felt. Once a desire is impressed upon the subconscious through belief and feeling, it begins to move through channels unseen. You do not need to know how it will happen, just as you do not need to know how your lungs draw in oxygen or how your heart beats in rhythm. Your part is to remain faithful to the invisible creation, to carry within yourself the conviction that it is already done. And this knowing, this quiet certainty, is the bridge between your inner world and your outer reality. You do not need to force the desire to come. It is already seeking you. The moment it was imagined, it became yours. It is only your attention to lack that keeps it at a distance. People often say, "I believe it when I see it," but that is the language of delay. The truth is, you will see it when you believe it. Faith is not passive. It is the act of claiming what is yours in the unseen. It is the decision to stop measuring your life by what appears and begin defining it by what you know within. When you walk by faith, you move with an energy that shifts reality. You speak, think, and act from the fulfillment of your desire. Not in hope, but in certainty. The world may not understand this kind of confidence. It may call you foolish or unrealistic. But it is this very boldness that draws manifestation out of the invisible and into form. What is unseen is not unreal. In fact, the unseen is more real than the visible. For it is the source. Every great invention, every relationship, every achievement began first in someone's mind, as an idea, a vision, a feeling. It was real before it ever took shape. And so it is with your desires. They are not mere wishes. They are the blueprint of your next reality. They exist now, not in the future, not as potential, but as actualities, waiting to be realized through your state of consciousness. You do not need to earn them, beg for them, or fight to keep them. You need only to become aware of them and live as if they are already yours. And how do you do this? By revisiting them often in imagination, by stepping into their feeling tone, by allowing the emotions of completion to fill you. When you do this with sincerity, with presence, and without resistance, you create an inner reality so vivid that the outer world begins to conform. The law is simple. What you accept in the unseen, you will experience in the seen. Your inner assumptions, repeated and believed, become your life. And the more you honor this truth, the less you depend on evidence to confirm it. You become the evidence. Your peace becomes the sign. Your joy becomes the proof. And the world simply follows the pattern you have set within. So when the desire rises in you, do not reject it. Do not question its origin. Understand that it was planted there because it is already prepared for you in the unseen. You are not trying to create something new. You are becoming aware of what already exists for you. And that awareness is the invitation. The moment you say yes inwardly, the universe begins its silent work. People are moved, circumstances shift, events arrange themselves. You may not see it, but the entire web of life begins to turn in your favor. Your only task is to remain faithful to the end you have claimed, not with clenched fists, but with open hands. When you understand that the desire is already yours in the unseen, you stop asking from a place of lack. You stop pleading for outcomes. You begin to thank the unseen for what is already underway. Gratitude becomes your language. Peace becomes your posture. You stop moving as someone who is waiting and begin walking as someone who is welcoming. You do not look outside for confirmation. You carry the confirmation within. And because you do, life bends to that reality. You attract not what you want, but what you are. And when you are one with the fulfilled state in consciousness, the world has no choice but to reflect it. Your desire does not need to be pushed into existence. It only needs to be believed. The more deeply you dwell in its reality internally, the more naturally it appears externally. This is the true work, not effort, not striving, but acceptance. To accept the unseen as the real is to unlock the most powerful force in the universe. Everything responds to that inner knowing. Everything obeys that quiet confidence. When you live from the truth that your desire is already fulfilled in the unseen, you become an open vessel for the divine to express through you. You become the place where the invisible becomes visible. You become the manifestation. The universe does not answer the noise of your actions. It answers the depth of your state. You may think you need to do more, hustle more, strive harder, and exhaust yourself to make your dream come true. But what truly creates movement in the invisible is not your physical effort, it is your inner alignment. The universe listens to who you are, not what you're doing. It listens to the song of your vibration, the quiet conviction of your belief, the inner assumption you carry throughout your day. This is where the secret lies. The outer world, filled with schedules and noise and endless tasks, may tell you that success is a matter of pushing and forcing, but that world is only a shadow of the inner one. All true creation begins in consciousness, not in activity. And that is why relaxing into alignment is far more powerful than running in circles, trying to manipulate outcomes. You have been taught to measure your progress by visible signs. If nothing is changing outside, you panic. You believe the dream is slipping away. But this is a misunderstanding of how manifestation works. The seed does not sprout the moment after planting. There is a sacred period of gestation, a season of invisibility, where roots grow deep before shoots rise above the surface. And during this invisible season, your only responsibility is to remain in alignment with the end you have chosen, to stay faithful, calm, and assured, not through more work, but through more stillness. The moment you shift your inner state, the universe begins responding. People will call it coincidence, but you will know it was your alignment that moved unseen forces on your behalf. Alignment is the silent language of the soul. It does not shout or plead. It whispers with unwavering certainty, "This is who I am." And the universe responds accordingly. When you align with abundance, you stop chasing money. You embody the feeling of sufficiency, and money finds its way to you. When you align with love, you stop seeking it from empty places. You carry the energy of wholeness, and love reflects itself back. When you align with peace, chaos loses its hold on you. This is not a fantasy, this is the law of consciousness. You always receive what you are aligned with, not what you desperately want. Your energy is the blueprint of your reality. You can act as much as you want, but if your energy is rooted in fear, lack, or doubt, those vibrations will cloud your outcomes. That's why people sometimes work so hard and still feel stuck. It's not their effort that's the problem, it's their state while making the effort. When your actions are laced with fear, they send mixed signals to the universe. You say, "I want success," but your vibration says, "I don't believe it will come." And so you receive confusion, delay, or disappointment. But when your actions flow from peace, from calm assurance, even the smallest step becomes potent. Even in stillness, the universe works tirelessly for you. This is why relaxing into your state is not laziness, it is mastery. It is choosing to create not from chaos but from clarity. When you relax, your energy becomes clear. You stop emitting signals of desperation. You stop reacting to appearances. You stop trying to prove your worth. And in that inner calm, you become a powerful attractor. Manifestation is not about begging the universe for crumbs. It's about knowing you are the source of the banquet. When you stop trying to change the outer and focus on embodying the feeling of the desired result, reality begins to shape itself around your new state. There is a profound difference between inspired action and forced action. Inspired action comes from alignment. It is smooth, effortless, and joyful. It feels like the natural next step, not a task you dread or a sacrifice you must endure. It flows from within like a river finding its course. But forced action comes from misalignment. It is driven by fear, by urgency, by the lie that you must do more to be worthy of what you seek. The truth is, you are already worthy. And once you accept that, your efforts transform from struggle to expression. You no longer act to receive. You act because you've already received it in spirit. This shift in understanding is the key to unlocking true manifestation. You stop manipulating the world and start mastering your state. You realize that alignment is the birthplace of all things. When you carry the state of having, the world cannot help but reflect that back to you. That's how powerful you are, not because of what you do, but because of what you are. The inner state is the magnet, the sculptor, the architect of experience. Every result you've ever seen was first built in the unseen, in the quiet thoughts and deep feelings you carried without speaking them aloud. So if you feel stuck, don't ask yourself, what more can I do? Ask instead, what am I being? Who are you in the silence? What do you believe when no one is watching? What feeling are you nurturing in the quiet moments of your day? These are the seeds that shape your world. The doing comes later. The action will follow, but if you act from misalignment, even the most strategic plan will falter. And if you act from alignment, even a simple gesture can yield miracles. The difference is in the state, not the effort. You are not powerless. You are not waiting for the universe to choose you. You are the chooser. You are the one who sets the tone, and the universe, faithful to its nature, responds without fail. It does not judge, it does not delay, it simply reflects. So the real work is always inner. Align with what you seek, not by trying harder, but by relaxing deeper. By becoming the embodiment of your desire, by trusting the unseen more than the seen. And when you do, your world will shift not because you forced it, but because you finally understood that reality responds to your state. And in that understanding, you become free. Living in the feeling of the wish fulfilled is not a game of make-believe or a shallow attempt to convince yourself of something you do not yet believe. It is the sacred act of assuming the position of already being, already having, already experiencing what your heart longs for. This is not a future hope but a present reality, one that begins not in the outer world but within your imagination and emotions. When you dare to enter into the feeling as though your desire is already realized, you are no longer waiting for it, you are becoming it, and that is the key. Creation happens the moment you become the emotional equivalent of your dream. The outer world, being obedient to the inner world, must eventually reflect that feeling into tangible form. You may ask, how can I feel something that isn't yet visible? The answer lies in understanding that your imagination is not a fantasy, it is the creative workshop of God. Everything you now experience began as a feeling or an idea. And if you trace back any event, any accomplishment, or any relationship, you will find that it first lived inside you long before it showed up outside of you. So, the feeling is not fake, it is formative. It is not a lie, it is law. When you imagine with feeling and dwell in that state with sincerity and calm, you activate a spiritual law more powerful than all physical action. To live in the feeling of the wish fulfilled is to wear the emotions of your desire as your daily clothing. If you desire love, you walk as if you are already loved. You feel chosen. You feel appreciated. You feel embraced. Not because someone has done it in the physical, but because you have made that experience real within yourself. And this inner experience draws its mirror into your outer world. If you desire wealth, you carry the feeling of freedom, abundance, and satisfaction. You do not worry about every penny or obsess over lack. You carry yourself with ease, because within you already possess the state of prosperity. This is not pretending, it is becoming. Your subconscious mind does not distinguish between real and imagined. It accepts whatever you repeatedly feel and believe as true, and then it reshapes your world accordingly. If you constantly feel lack, worry, or doubt, those feelings will sculpt your experiences. But if you feel abundance, joy, peace, and success, even before they appear, they will become the pattern your world follows. You are always creating from your dominant state. The only question is whether that state is by default or by design. And to design it consciously, you must immerse yourself in the emotional reality of your fulfilled desire. This is why most people do not manifest what they want. They continue to think about the desire, wish for it, talk about it, but they never dwell in its actual feeling. They keep reacting to what is instead of assuming what is to come. But manifestation does not respond to thoughts alone, it responds to feelings. The universe answers your energy, your inner climate, your state of being. So if you want to see a change, you must first be the change. You must feel differently before your world gives you different things to feel about. There is no need to visualize every detail or repeat affirmations endlessly if your emotional state remains the same. All the rituals and routines mean nothing if you are still dominated by the same doubts and fears. What matters most is whether you can rest in the feeling of it being done. That's the secret. To enter the end and live from it. You walk through your day as one who already possesses. You close your eyes and go to sleep feeling satisfied, fulfilled, grateful, and that inner assumption becomes the force that reorders your world. It takes courage to do this. It takes discipline to feel rich when your bank account is empty. It takes spiritual strength to feel loved when you feel abandoned. But this is the price of creation, the willingness to live emotionally ahead of your physical reality, not to ignore it, but to transcend it. You are not bound by what is. You are shaping what will be. And that shaping happens not through stress or demand, but through persistent assumption, through the quiet, repeated choice to feel your future as your present. Each time you revisit the feeling of your wish fulfilled, you deepen the groove in your subconscious mind. You are impressing a new reality onto the canvas of your life. And the more you do this without resistance, without questioning the timing, the faster the outer begins to reflect the inner. It is not your job to know how or when. Your only task is to embody the end, to feel it deeply, to breathe it, to walk in it, even when nothing around you seems to match. That is the work, that is the faith, that is the surrender. You cannot deceive the law. You may fool yourself with shallow words or empty rituals, but the law responds only to your true state. So be honest with yourself. If the feeling is not real to you, return to it, cultivate it, don't force it. Nurture it, let it grow inside you like a flame. Feed it with imagination, water it with gratitude. Trust that the more you remain in that feeling, the more real it becomes, and the more your life bends toward it. This is not about controlling reality. It is about becoming the version of you that your dream requires. There is a sacred joy in this process, a quiet delight in waking up each day knowing that you are already connected to your desire. You are not hoping, you are not waiting, you are already it. And from that knowing, all things are drawn to you with ease. People show up, opportunities open, ideas flow. The world organizes itself around your emotional state, not because you begged for it, but because you finally understood your power. To feel it real. The great misunderstanding that keeps so many people from receiving what they desire is the belief that manifestation must be forced into existence. That something so meaningful, so life-changing must come only through grinding effort or desperate chase. But the truth is far more elegant, far more divine. What is truly yours does not need to be seized, it only needs to be allowed. Manifestation in its purest form is not about making something happen, it is about letting something unfold. And to let something unfold, you must first become the space for it. You must be still enough, trusting enough, relaxed enough for it to come through you and into your world. This is the spiritual art of allowing. When you carry the feeling of effortlessness, when you allow the desire to gently grow within you without clinging to it, without strangling it with need, you demonstrate your trust in the unseen laws that govern life. You are no longer interrupting the flow by trying to control every step. You are no longer shouting over the quiet voice of intuition. You are at peace with what you have asked for, and that peace becomes your alignment. The moment you stop demanding and start allowing, the moment you stop chasing and start receiving, you shift into the frequency where all things are possible. There is a kind of magic that comes only when you no longer need the outcome to feel whole. When you know the thing you seek is already yours, you no longer hold it with tense fingers. You cradle it gently in your heart and trust that the universe knows how to deliver. That knowing, that deep inner relaxation, is the fertile soil where miracles grow. You stop standing in your own way. You stop creating blocks with doubt, fear, or anxious repetition. Instead, you soften, you let go, you breathe, And in that stillness, you create. This is not passivity, it is precision. It is the understanding that spiritual laws are not activated by strain, but by stillness. They do not obey panic, they respond to peace. The more you grasp at the dream, the more you affirm its absence. But the moment you let go and live as though it's already done, your whole vibration shifts. You become the fulfilled version of yourself before anything outside of you changes. And that inner transformation is the true creation. Everything external is just the echo of what you have already become. Many people think they need to work harder to get what they want. But hard work, when born of misalignment, is empty motion. It may keep you busy, but it rarely brings peace. When you are aligned, when your energy is clear, and your state is rooted in faith, what you need flows to you in ways you never could have orchestrated through force. The right people come, the right timing emerges, the right doors open, not because you chased them, but because you became a vibrational match for them. Allowing is not about doing nothing, it is about doing the right thing from the right state. And the right state is always one of inner harmony. When you allow, you become receptive to divine instruction. You hear the inner nudge that says, now is the time to act. And when you move from that space, your steps are powerful. You do less and yet achieve more. You move slower and yet arrive faster, because you're no longer moving from lack, you're moving from abundance. You're not building out of fear, you're expressing from fullness. This way of living is a return to your natural rhythm. You are not born to strive endlessly for your worth. You were born whole, and the moment you return to that truth, everything you need begins to respond. You are not proving anything to the universe, you are remembering your place within it. And when you remember, you relax. You no longer resist what's coming. You no longer obsess over details. You trust the unfolding, and you meet life from a place of grace. In this space of allowing, patience is no longer a burden, it is a joy. Waiting is not empty, it is sacred. Because you know the thing is coming, you know it's already on the way. And so you are not restless, you are radiant. You are not anxious, you are anchored. And the universe feels that. It knows when you're no longer desperate. It knows when you're no longer begging. It knows when you're no longer attached. And that is when the floodgates open. It is a paradox, yet it is a truth, deeply etched into the structure of all creation. The less you need it, the faster it comes. Not because need is wrong, but because need implies absence. And absence cannot produce presence. You must become the emotional equivalent of what you desire and then allow the outer world to meet you there. You must trust that you are not forgotten, that your desires were not placed in you to torment you, but to be fulfilled through you. You must walk in calmness, even when the outside has not yet caught up. That is the work. That is the invitation. Let it come. Stop trying to force the doors open. Let them swing naturally with your calm expectation. Trust the silence between the seed and the bloom. Trust that your inner alignment is enough, that the work you have done in imagination is the real labor, and all else is simply movement guided by grace. What is meant for you is never truly delayed. It waits for your readiness. And readiness is not about doing more, it is about resisting less. It is about relaxing into the belief that the unseen knows your name, knows your request, and is perfectly capable of delivering it in ways far greater than your mind can plan. When you release control, you do not fall, you rise. You rise into faith, into peace, into trust. And in that rising, you allow. You become the vessel through which the invisible becomes visible. You are not the one making it happen. You are the one allowing it to happen. And that is the highest form of creation. The world you see is a mirror reflecting the assumptions you hold about yourself. If you desire to embody wealth, you must first assume the feeling of being rich. Not tomorrow, not someday, now. It is not about possessions, but the consciousness of abundance. Wealth is a state of mind, a vibration, an inner knowing that you are already in possession of all that you seek. You do not become rich by striving, by effort, by working tirelessly to prove yourself to the world. You become rich by assuming the consciousness of wealth, by knowing that you are already the person you wish to be. It is not arrogance, nor is it pretense. It is the quiet, unwavering certainty that you are one with the abundance of life itself. What you believe to be true about yourself will be made manifest. Observe those who move through life effortlessly, radiating success and confidence. They are not consumed by doubt, nor do they chase after wealth as if it were outside of them. They carry themselves with a knowing, an unshakable faith that they are worthy of all good things. This is not an act, it is their reality. And it is reality because they have assumed it to be so. You too must assume this state. The outer world bends to the inner world. If you carry the consciousness of lack, the world will reflect lack. If you believe yourself to be struggling, unworthy, or desperate, you will see these conditions play out in your life. But if you assume with absolute conviction that you are rich, that you are already the embodiment of success and abundance, then life will rearrange itself to match your assumption. Your words, your thoughts, your very movement must align with the identity you wish to express. Speak as one who has, not as one who lacks. Walk as one who knows his worth. Dwell in the feeling of already possessing all that you seek, and reality will conform. You do not beg, you do not wish, you claim, you assume. You live from the end as if what you desire is already yours, because in truth it is. The world is not happening to you, it is responding to you. Change the way you see yourself, and the world will change with you. Wealth is not merely the accumulation of money or material possessions. It is a state of mind, a deep inner knowing that abundance is your birthright. Many people spend their lives chasing financial success, believing that if they just work harder, strive more, or secure the right opportunities, they will finally become rich. But true wealth is not something to be pursued, it is something to be embodied. It is a consciousness, a vibration, an identity that you assume before the world reflects it back to you. The external world is a mirror of your internal state. And until you cultivate the consciousness of wealth, no amount of effort will bring lasting prosperity. Most people misunderstand the nature of riches. They believe that money itself creates security, confidence, and freedom. But in truth, these qualities must exist within you first, long before they appear in the physical world. If money alone made a person rich, then all those who win the lottery would remain wealthy. But we see time and again that those who suddenly acquire wealth without possessing the consciousness of abundance soon lose it all. Why? Because their inner world does not match the outer change, and the external world will always adjust to reflect the internal state. Those who see themselves as poor, struggling, or undeserving of wealth will subconsciously sabotage their prosperity, no matter how much money comes into their hands. On the other hand, there are individuals who have lost everything yet rebuilt their wealth effortlessly because they never lost their inner certainty. They carry the mindset of abundance, knowing that riches are not confined to a number in a bank account, but are a reflection of their state of being. They do not fear loss because they understand that the source of wealth is within them, not outside of them. Money is simply a shadow cast by their inner belief in prosperity. It flows to them naturally because they assume it as part of who they are. To shift into the consciousness of wealth, you must first release the belief that you are lacking. You must refuse to identify with struggle, desperation, or scarcity. These states of mind are not your truth. They are only illusions sustained by past conditioning. If you have been taught that money is hard to earn, that abundance is reserved for the lucky few, or that you must sacrifice your well-being to attain success, then you must unlearn these falsehoods. They do not serve you. The only reality that exists is the one you accept as true. If you continue to accept struggle as your reality, then life will continue to confirm that belief. But if you decide with absolute conviction that you are already rich, that abundance flows to you with ease, then this will become your experience. Your emotions and self-concept shape your financial reality. If deep down you feel unworthy of success, if you believe that money is difficult to obtain or that wealth is fleeting, then no amount of external effort will change your circumstances in a meaningful way. You must align your inner world with the abundance you seek. This means feeling prosperous even when your current circumstances suggest otherwise. It means thinking, speaking, and acting as though you already possess everything you desire, not in a way that is forced or exaggerated, but with a quiet, unshakable confidence that wealth is your natural state. This is not about pretending or faking success. It is about assuming the identity of a person who is already wealthy. A truly rich person does not fear money running out because they know abundance is infinite. They do not obsess over how wealth will come to them because they trust that it must appear. They do not chase after money, they attract it effortlessly by living in alignment with their inner conviction. The difference between someone who struggles and someone who thrives is not in their external conditions, but in their self-concept. One sees themselves as poor, and the other sees themselves as rich. The universe simply responds to these assumptions. To cultivate the consciousness of wealth, begin by observing your thoughts and emotions around money. Do you feel tense, anxious, or uncertain when you think about financial matters? Do you find yourself doubting that you will ever be truly prosperous? If so, recognize that these feelings are only a reflection of old beliefs, and you have the power to change them. Instead of focusing on what you lack, shift your attention to what you already have. Gratitude is one of the most powerful ways to align with abundance. When you appreciate the wealth that already exists in your life, no matter how small, you signal to the universe that you are in harmony with prosperity. Speak words of abundance into existence. Instead of saying, "I can't afford this," say, "I choose to prioritize my wealth in ways that serve me." Instead of saying, "I never have enough," say, "I always have more than enough for everything I need." These subtle shifts in language reinforce the belief that you are already rich, and as this belief strengthens, reality will conform to it. Observe the way wealthy people carry themselves. They do not shrink, apologize, or second-guess their worth. They move with certainty, knowing that abundance is their natural state. Adopt this same posture in your own life. Walk with confidence even before the evidence appears. Speak with authority, knowing that your words shape your reality. Make decisions from a place of abundance, not fear. When you operate from the consciousness of wealth, opportunities will arise that you never imagined possible. There is no force outside of you withholding wealth. There is no luck, no random fate determining who prospers and who does not. There is only consciousness, what you assume to be true about yourself. If you accept lack, lack will persist. If you accept wealth, wealth will flow to you. The world is simply a reflection of what you hold in mind. You do not need to strive, struggle, or chase after money. You need only to align your inner state with the certainty of abundance, and the outer world will follow. Wealth is not something you acquire, it is something you become. The moment you truly embody the consciousness of prosperity, you will see it materialize effortlessly in every aspect of your life. To experience wealth in your reality, you must assume the feeling of being rich now. Not in some distant future, not when circumstances improve, but in this very moment. The mind is the creator of all experience, and whatever state you impress upon it will be reflected in your outer world. Wealth is not something you wait for, it is something you embody. You do not hope to be rich, you assume that you already are. This assumption is not wishful thinking, nor is it a temporary act. It is a deep, unwavering knowing that you are one with the abundance of life itself. Most people live in a state of waiting. They wait for the right job, the right opportunity, the right moment to feel wealthy. But waiting is an admission of lack. It is a declaration that you do not yet have what you desire. And as long as you continue to wait, your reality will reflect that absence. The world cannot give you what you do not first claim within yourself. If you wish to be rich, you must feel rich now. You must move through life as though you already possess everything you desire, for the outer world is only a mirror of your inner state. To assume the feeling of wealth is to shift your entire perspective. It is to wake up each morning with the certainty that you are already prosperous, that money flows to you effortlessly, that abundance is your natural state. It means no longer identifying with struggle, scarcity, or fear. Instead of looking at your current bank account and allowing numbers to dictate how you feel, you dictate how you feel regardless of numbers. You decide that you are rich, and you remain unwavering in that belief. This does not mean spending recklessly or pretending to have money you do not yet possess. It is not about deception, but about alignment. A truly wealthy person is not desperate for money, nor do they worry about its absence. They know that wealth is an extension of their being, and because they hold that certainty, money naturally flows to them. You must cultivate this same certainty. The moment you claim abundance as your reality, the world has no choice but to rearrange itself to reflect that truth. Feelings are the key to manifestation. If you attempt to attract wealth while still feeling poor, anxious, or doubtful, your efforts will be in vain. The universe does not respond to empty words or forced affirmations. It responds to the energy you hold. When you assume the feeling of being rich, you shift your frequency. You align yourself with abundance, and that alignment draws wealth to you effortlessly. It is not about convincing yourself. It is about knowing deep in your core that you are already what you seek to become. To cultivate this feeling, begin by imagining yourself as the wealthy person you wish to be. Close your eyes and see yourself living in abundance. Feel the security, the freedom, the joy that comes with wealth. Let it become real in your mind. How do you walk? How do you speak? How do you carry yourself? Let these sensations become familiar. The more you embody the feeling of wealth, the more natural it will become, until it is no longer an act but your new reality. Your thoughts, words, and actions must align with the assumption of wealth. Speak as though you are already prosperous. Think thoughts of abundance, not lack. Instead of saying, "I can't afford this," shift your language to, "I choose to spend my wealth wisely." Instead of worrying about money, trust that it is always flowing to you in ways seen and unseen. A wealthy person does not doubt their riches. They rest in the certainty that money is always present. You must do the same. Observe how you react to financial situations. Do you feel anxious when paying bills? Do you hesitate to spend money, fearing that it will run out? These reactions reveal deep-seated beliefs of lack. To assume the feeling of wealth, you must release these fears. When you pay for something, do so with gratitude, knowing that more is always on its way. When you see someone else prosper, celebrate their success, for it is a sign that abundance is flowing. The way you respond to money determines how it flows into your life. If you see it as scarce, it will be scarce. If you see it as limitless, it will be limitless. Wealthy people do not worry about how money will come to them. They know that it must come. They do not chase after opportunities. They attract them effortlessly because they live in a state of abundance. You must cultivate this same mindset. Stop looking at external conditions to determine whether you are rich. Instead, decide within yourself that you are. Live from that state. Feel the joy and certainty of wealth, even if your circumstances have not yet shifted. It is this unwavering faith that bends reality to your will. Many people believe that they need to see evidence of wealth before they can feel rich. But the truth is, the feeling comes first. The external world is a reflection of your internal state, and it will not change until you do. If you wait for riches before you feel wealthy, you will wait forever. Instead, feel wealthy now, and the riches will follow. When you assume the feeling of being rich, you move differently. You no longer operate from fear or desperation. You make decisions with confidence, knowing that abundance is always present. You walk with certainty, knowing that the world is responding to your inner state. You do not hesitate, you do not doubt. You embody wealth fully and completely. Every great success story begins with an internal shift. Those who have risen from nothing to extraordinary wealth did not do so by luck or chance. They changed their consciousness first and the world followed. They assumed the feeling of wealth before it was visible. They believed in their prosperity even when circumstances suggested otherwise. And because they held that belief unwaveringly, reality had no choice but to reflect it back to them. Your financial situation today is simply a reflection of your past assumptions. But the moment you decide to assume the feeling of wealth, you set a new cause into motion. The universe begins to align with your new state of being. Doors open, opportunities arise, and money flows in ways you never expected. But it all begins with you. It begins with your decision to stop waiting and to start being. It begins with your willingness to feel wealthy now, no matter what. The world is not separate from you, it is a mirror of your consciousness. If you wish to see abundance in your life, you must hold the feeling of abundance within you. Not tomorrow, not someday, now. The way you carry yourself is a direct reflection of how you see yourself. If you desire to show yourself as a rich personality, you must first embody the essence of wealth in your posture, movement, and demeanor. The outer world is merely a mirror of your internal state. The wealthy do not walk timidly, nor do they shrink themselves in the presence of others. They do not move with uncertainty or hesitation. There is a quiet confidence in every step, a calm assurance in every action. They walk as if the world belongs to them, not because they are entitled, but because they have claimed their place within it. Your body language tells a story long before you speak a word. If you walk with your shoulders slumped, head down, and eyes darting nervously, you send a message of insecurity and lack. The world responds accordingly, treating you as someone who does not expect much. But if you stand tall, shoulders back, and move with deliberate grace, you command attention. You are seen as someone who expects success, someone who is accustomed to wealth. This is not arrogance, it is a deep inner knowing that you are worthy of abundance. Observe those who exude wealth. They are never in a rush, yet they always seem to be in control. They do not fidget or make anxious movements. They are composed, their gestures smooth and intentional. Their presence alone shifts the energy of a room. People are drawn to them not because of what they wear or what they own, but because of the certainty they embody. You must cultivate this same presence. Begin by being aware of how you move through the world. When you enter a room, do you hesitate, looking for validation from others? Or do you walk in as though you belong? Do you avoid eye contact, or do you meet people's gaze with confidence? A rich personality does not seek approval, they assume it. They do not apologize for their presence, they own it fully. Your tone of voice carries just as much weight as your posture. The wealthy do not speak in a hurried, nervous manner. Their words are measured, deliberate, and clear. There is certainty in their speech, a sense that they are not seeking permission to express themselves. When you speak, do so with conviction. Do not mumble or hesitate. Speak as if your words have value, as if people should listen, and they will. It is not about forcing yourself to appear confident. It is about feeling the confidence within you. When you assume the mindset of wealth, your body naturally aligns with that belief. You move differently because you think differently. You stop seeking validation because you know your worth. You stop worrying about how others perceive you because you have already decided how you perceive yourself. Think about how a truly wealthy person would react in different situations. If they face a minor setback, do they panic? Do they complain or blame others? No, they remain composed. They understand that challenges are temporary, that solutions always exist. This level of control over one's emotions is what sets them apart. Emotional stability is a mark of true wealth. It is the ability to remain calm, to move through life with a steady, unwavering presence. When you cultivate this energy, people will notice. They will be drawn to you not because of your possessions, but because of the power you exude. There is a certain magnetism in those who carry themselves with assurance. Others want to be around them, to learn from them, to understand what makes them different. And what makes them different is their inner state. This does not mean suppressing emotions or pretending to be someone you are not. It means refining your presence, elevating your awareness of how you project yourself into the world. It means becoming conscious of the energy you carry. Are you tense and anxious, or are you at ease? Do you move with hesitation, or do you flow effortlessly through life? Even in stillness, a rich personality commands attention. They do not need to prove anything. Their energy speaks for itself. They do not feel the need to dominate conversations or show off their success. They listen more than they speak, and when they do speak, their words carry weight. They do not engage in gossip or trivial complaints. Their focus is always on growth, expansion, and higher vision. The wealthy do not react impulsively. They are not easily shaken by circumstances. Their composure is what sets them apart. They understand that wealth is not just about money, it is about mastery. Mastery over the mind, emotions, and actions. When you cultivate this mastery, it shows. People recognize it. They sense something different about you, something rare. You must begin to embody this presence before external wealth arrives. Do not wait for riches to give you confidence. Cultivate confidence and riches will follow. Walk, talk, and move as if you already possess everything you desire. Not in a way that is forced, but in a way that is natural. Become familiar with the feeling of abundance. Let it settle into your being so deeply that it becomes your default state. The world does not respond to neediness, it responds to certainty. If you approach life from a place of lack, always seeking, always hoping, you will remain in that state indefinitely. But the moment you shift, the moment you decide to carry yourself as a person of wealth, everything around you begins to change. You do not have to announce your wealth for people to recognize it. True wealth is silent. It does not beg for attention, it does not seek approval, it simply is. And when you embody this quiet confidence, the world adjusts to match your frequency. Opportunities arise, people treat you differently. Doors open where before there were none. It is not about acting, it is about being. You must become so comfortable in the energy of wealth that it feels like home. When you do, the external world cannot help but reflect it. The mirror of reality will always show you who you believe yourself to be. If you believe you are rich, if you carry yourself as such, the world will bend to confirm that truth. The way you dress is a silent introduction before you even speak. The world perceives you based on the image you project, and clothing is one of the most immediate ways to signal who you believe yourself to be. A rich personality does not dress to impress others. They dress in alignment with their self-impression. It is not about chasing trends or flaunting expensive brands, but about wearing clothes that embody confidence, refinement, and self-respect. The wealthy do not wear clothes to prove their status. Their presence alone speaks for them. Their attire is merely an extension of their identity, a reflection of their inner sense of worth. The key is to dress with intention. Every piece of clothing you wear should feel like a natural extension of who you are and who you aspire to be. You do not need to spend vast amounts of money on designer labels, but you do need to invest in quality. A well-tailored, perfectly fitting outfit elevates your presence more than any brand name ever could. Fit, fabric, and presentation matter more than cost. The wealthy understand that clothing is not just fabric stitched together. It is an energy, a statement, a vibration. It communicates self-respect, self-care, and an awareness of personal value. When you step out into the world, ask yourself, does my attire reflect the person I believe myself to be? Would the version of me who possesses great wealth wear this? If the answer is no, it is time to make adjustments. Clothing should never be an afterthought. The way you present yourself tells the universe how you expect to be treated. When you dress well, you carry yourself differently. You stand taller, you exude more confidence, and people respond to you accordingly. It is not about seeking validation, but about stepping fully into the energy of the person you know yourself to be. A rich personality does not dress for attention, but for presence. There is a quiet power in simplicity, a strength in elegance. Loud, flashy displays of wealth often stem from insecurity, from a need to prove something to others. True wealth is subtle. It is found in the precision of a tailored suit, the unstated elegance of well-chosen accessories, the confidence in knowing that you do not need to announce your status. It is evident in the way you move, the way you speak, the way you simply are. Understanding the psychology of color is another important aspect of dressing like a rich personality. Certain colors evoke feelings of power, stability, and influence. Deep blues, rich browns, classic blacks, and crisp whites carry a timeless elegance. These shades signal authority, confidence, and sophistication. Bright, garish colors used excessively can often detract from the aura of refinement. The wealthy choose colors that enhance their energy rather than overpower it. Accessories, too, are not about excess but precision. A well-crafted watch, a simple but high-quality bag, or a refined pair of shoes speak volumes. The wealthy understand that small details make a big difference. A polished appearance suggests a polished mind. Every aspect of your attire should be intentional, down to the smallest elements. Shoes should be well maintained, clothes neatly pressed, and accessories chosen with care. These details may seem minor, but they shape the energy you project into the world. Dressing well is not just about external appearance. It affects the way you feel. When you put on an outfit that fits perfectly, that complements your presence, you feel a shift in your energy. You feel more powerful, more capable. This shift is real, and others can sense it. Clothing is not just fabric, it carries energy. The moment you dress in a way that aligns with the wealth you desire, you begin to embody it on a deeper level. The key is consistency. Dressing as a rich personality is not something you do only for special occasions. It is a daily commitment. You do not wait for wealth to come before you dress the part. You dress the part first, and wealth follows. You become so aligned with the identity of a wealthy individual that the world cannot help but reflect it back to you. The external must always conform to the internal, never the other way around. Some may argue that clothing should not matter, that what is inside is what counts. While it is true that your internal state is the foundation of everything, your external presentation reinforces that belief. The two must be in harmony. If you believe yourself to be abundant but your appearance reflects carelessness, there is a disconnect. The world responds to coherence. When your thoughts, beliefs, and external presentation align, the reality you desire manifests effortlessly. It is also important to understand the relationship between comfort and sophistication. Dressing well does not mean being uncomfortable. The wealthy choose fabrics that feel good against their skin, cuts that allow movement while maintaining form. There is a balance between looking put together and feeling at ease. A rich personality does not fidget or adjust their clothing constantly. They wear their outfits with natural ease, moving as if every piece belongs exactly where it is. The way you dress extends beyond clothing. It includes grooming and self-care. Well-kept hair, clean nails, and overall presentation contribute to the energy you project. It is not about vanity, but about self-respect. The wealthy do not neglect themselves. They understand that how they treat themselves is how the world will treat them. When you take care of yourself, when you present yourself as someone who values their own presence, others respond accordingly. Dressing as a rich personality does not require excessive spending, but it does require discernment. Instead of owning many low-quality items, invest in fewer, higher-quality pieces. A wardrobe built on timeless essentials serves you far better than an overflowing closet of disposable fashion. The wealthy do not chase trends, they cultivate a personal style that is refined, effortless, and enduring. Every time you put on an outfit, you are making a statement to yourself in the world about who you are. Are you affirming your abundance, or are you reinforcing a mindset of lack? Are you dressing in alignment with the wealth you know is yours, or are you waiting for external validation before making that shift? Wealth is a state of being, and the way you present yourself is one of the most immediate ways to step into that state. When you walk into a room, your presence should speak before you do, not because of extravagance, but because of the quiet confidence in how you carry yourself. The way you dress, the way you move, the way you exist in space. These are all reflections of your internal world. When you dress as someone who is accustomed to wealth, you begin to feel like that person. And when you feel like that person, the world cannot help but shape itself around that belief. It is never about impressing others. It is about embodying your highest self. When you dress in alignment with the wealth you desire, you begin to integrate that reality into your subconscious. And once it is embedded there, it must manifest outwardly. The universe is simply responding to the message you send. When you show up as someone who already possesses what they desire, the world rearranges itself to match that frequency. It is not a matter of if, it is a matter of when. Your posture, your movements, the way you enter a room, these silent, powerful elements reveal more about you than words ever could. A rich personality moves with purpose, grace, and an unshakable sense of self. There is no hesitation, no awkwardness, no uncertainty. They command space not by force or arrogance, but by presence alone. Their movements are deliberate, fluid, and effortless, reflecting a deep inner confidence that requires no external validation. The way you carry yourself sends an immediate message to the world. Slouched shoulders, hurried steps, or fidgeting hands signal doubt and insecurity, while a poised stance, measured pace, and controlled gestures project authority, stability, and self-respect. A rich personality does not rush. They do not fumble or shrink in the presence of others. They move as if the world bends in their favor, as if time itself expands to accommodate them. There is no need to prove anything. Confidence is felt, not performed. When you step into a room, your presence alone should shift the energy, not through loudness or exaggerated actions, but through a quiet certainty that radiates from within. Your body language should communicate assurance without a single word. The way you walk is a reflection of the way you see yourself. Are your steps hurried and uncertain, or are they steady and intentional? The wealthy do not walk with desperation or hesitation. They move with a sense of ownership, as if they belong wherever they are. And they do. Your energy precedes you. Before you speak, before you even make eye contact, the way you hold yourself sets the tone. A rich personality stands tall, not with stiffness, but with ease. Their shoulders are relaxed, their movements natural yet precise. There is no unnecessary fidgeting, no darting eyes filled with uncertainty. They exude presence. When they sit, they do so with grace, not slumping into a chair, but settling into it with confidence. They do not shrink, they expand, not in an overbearing way, but in a way that makes their presence undeniable. The wealthy understand that body language is a language of its own. A firm yet warm handshake communicates more than words ever could. Eye contact, steady and assured, builds an unspoken connection. When they engage in conversation, they are fully present. They do not check their phones or let their attention drift. They are engaged, listening deeply, responding with intention. Their presence alone makes others feel valued, and in turn, they are valued. There is a reason that powerful people seem to glide through life with effortless elegance. It is because they have mastered control over their own movements, their own energy. They do not rush through crowds, nor do they demand space. They take it naturally because they believe they deserve it. They are never frantic, never flustered, They project a sense of calm certainty that influences those around them. Imagine the way a king or queen walks through a palace, unbothered, assured, knowing that every step they take is one of purpose. This is the energy you must embody. You do not need a crown to move like royalty. You do not need riches to exude wealth. It is a state of mind, a state of being. Wealthy individuals do not move through life apologetically. They take their time, not out of arrogance, but out of a deep knowing that they are worthy of being noticed, heard, and respected. Everything from the way you gesture to the way you sit at a table shapes how you are perceived. Crossed arms signal defensiveness, while open, relaxed posture signals confidence. Fidgeting shows nervousness, while stillness shows control. Speaking too quickly, too loudly, or too hesitantly all betray insecurity. A rich personality speaks with deliberate cadence, with measured pauses, with an energy that commands attention without demanding it. It is not about putting on an act. It is about shifting into a new level of awareness. It is about being conscious of every movement, refining the way you present yourself, and stepping fully into the role of the person you wish to be. The way you carry yourself is a direct reflection of your inner world. If you believe in your own power, it will show. If you doubt yourself, that will show too. The key is to embody the feeling of wealth and confidence now, before the external world reflects it back to you. When you act as if you are already rich, you align yourself with the reality of wealth. The world outside is only a reflection of the world within. If you walk in the consciousness of abundance, you summon abundance into your experience. There is no separation between who you are and what you receive. There is only the assumption made visible. To believe yourself rich is not to wish for riches, but to live as though they are already yours. Not in pretense, not in forced display, but in the deep, unwavering conviction that you are what you claim to be. When this assumption hardens into fact within your consciousness, the world must obey. The law is simple. You become what you believe yourself to be. Observe the man who carries himself with the ease of wealth. He does not doubt, he does not beg, he does not worry. He knows, and because he knows, the world conforms to his knowing. He expects luxury, and so luxury surrounds him. He assumes power, and power seeks him. He does not chase after money, for he understands that wealth is not something to be pursued, it is something to be embodied. Miracles happen when you assume the state of the super rich, because you move beyond limitation. You are no longer bound by circumstances. You are no longer waiting for proof. You act from the conviction that what you desire is already yours, and the world must rearrange itself to reflect your new assumption. The secret is not in struggle, but in effortless belief. You do not beg the universe to make you rich, you assume that you are. You walk, speak, and think from the position of abundance. And soon, without force, without strain, the outer world reshapes itself to match your inner reality. This is the great mystery. The world outside is nothing but the echo of the world within. Everything you experience in life is a reflection of your inner assumptions. The world does not happen to you, it happens through you. Every circumstance, every event, every person you encounter is simply mirroring back the state of consciousness you have assumed to be true. The moment you grasp this, you realize that nothing outside of you has power over your reality. The only true power is the power of assumption, the belief you hold about yourself and your world. Assumption is not wishful thinking. It is not daydreaming or hoping for a better future. It is the firm and unwavering conviction that something is already true, even when your physical senses suggest otherwise. It is the deep knowing that what you declare internally will solidify externally. If you assume poverty, the world will show you more lack. If you assume wealth, abundance will find its way to you. There is no accident in this, no mystery. The law is absolute. To assume the state of wealth is to move beyond doubt. It is to walk through life with the confidence that everything you desire is already yours. When you assume yourself to be super rich, you do not act from a place of desperation or need. You act from a place of fulfillment. You no longer ask, "How will I become rich?" Instead, you know that you already are, and your actions naturally align with that truth. Most people live in a state of reaction. They look at their current bank account, their job, their circumstances, and they allow these external conditions to dictate their beliefs. They assume that because they do not yet see wealth, it is not theirs to claim. But assumption works in the opposite direction. It does not wait for proof. It creates the proof. The moment you declare yourself to be rich, your world begins to shift in unseen ways. Opportunities appear where there were none before. People and events align to support your assumption. Things that once seemed impossible suddenly become effortless. The reason so few people experience this transformation is because they allow their senses to override their assumptions. They look at their bills, their debts, their limitations, and they reaffirm the state of lack. They may say they want wealth, but internally they are still assuming struggle. They still identify as someone who lacks money, who has to fight for every dollar. And as long as they hold that assumption, their world must continue to reflect it. There is no force outside of you that decides whether you will be rich or poor. The universe does not reward some and punish others. It only mirrors back the state you persistently occupy. This is why assumption is so powerful. It is the root of all change. Every great fortune, every great success began first as an assumption. No wealthy person became rich by accident. They may not have been aware of the law of assumption, but they embodied it nonetheless. They believed in their wealth before the evidence showed up. They carried themselves as though success was inevitable. They refused to entertain thoughts of failure, and because they lived in that state, the world had no choice but to conform. If you wish to experience wealth, you must shift your assumption now. Not tomorrow, not when conditions improve, but now. Assume that you are already super rich. Feel the truth of it in your body, in your mind, in your emotions. Walk, talk, and think as the person who has already achieved unlimited wealth. This is not about reckless spending or pretending to be something you are not. It is about embodying the consciousness of abundance so fully that your external world has no choice but to rearrange itself to match your new reality. Doubt is the only thing that can break this process. The moment you question your assumption, the moment you look for external validation, you weaken the foundation of your new reality. This is why persistence is key. You must hold the assumption of wealth even in the face of apparent lack. You must remain unshaken, knowing that what you have declared within will soon harden into fact. The world outside is nothing but a reflection of what you hold within. If you want to see a change in your finances, you must first change the assumption you carry about yourself. You must let go of the identity of someone who struggles and embrace the identity of someone who thrives. This is not an intellectual exercise, it is a deep inner transformation. You must live from the end, fully embodying the state of wealth before the evidence appears. When you master this, miracles become inevitable. Money flows to you effortlessly. Opportunities seem to appear out of nowhere. You no longer chase wealth, it comes to you. This is not luck, not chance, but the natural result of living in the assumption of abundance. What you assume, you become. What you believe, you receive. The law is unfailing. To live as if you are already wealthy is to embody the feeling and mindset of abundance in every aspect of your life. It is not about pretending or forcing an illusion. It is about stepping into the version of yourself that already exists in the reality where you are rich. You do not wait for external confirmation before assuming this state. You assume it now, and the world molds itself to fit your inner conviction. The great secret is that your experience of reality does not begin outside of you. It begins within. Most people believe they must first acquire wealth before they can feel wealthy. They wait for money to appear, for circumstances to improve, for external validation, before they allow themselves to shift their identity. This is the fundamental mistake. The process is reversed. You do not become wealthy and then feel rich. You feel rich and then wealth follows. Your state of being determines what you attract. If you live in the energy of lack, if you constantly feel the absence of money, your world will continue to reflect scarcity. But if you truly embody the feeling of wealth, your external world must reshape itself to match that assumption. Living as if you are already wealthy is not about reckless spending or pretending to have what you do not. It is about shifting the way you carry yourself, the way you think, the way you approach life. The wealthy do not worry about money. They do not operate from fear, desperation, or limitation. They expect abundance, and because they expect it, it flows effortlessly into their lives. They trust in the certainty of their wealth, even when circumstances appear otherwise. It is this inner certainty, this deep assumption, that makes all the difference. When you adopt the mindset of wealth, you release resistance. Most people repel money without realizing it. They see money as something difficult to obtain, something they must struggle for, something that is separate from them. They create a psychological distance between themselves and abundance, reinforcing the idea that wealth is out of reach. But those who are truly wealthy do not view money as something external to be acquired. They see it as an extension of themselves, a natural part of their experience. It comes to them because they do not doubt its presence. To live in this state means to change how you interact with life. When you wake up, do you feel the burden of financial stress? Or do you feel the freedom and possibility of unlimited wealth? When you make decisions, do you act from fear and scarcity? Or do you operate from confidence and abundance? Every moment presents a choice. You can choose to dwell in lack, reinforcing the belief that money is hard to come by, or you can choose to dwell in wealth, knowing that you are already supported, already successful, already in possession of everything you desire. This shift in consciousness does not mean you ignore reality. It means you redefine reality. Reality is fluid. It is shaped by your perception, your beliefs, your assumptions. If you see yourself as someone who is struggling, your reality will continue to reflect struggle. If you see yourself as someone who is wealthy, your reality will shift to align with that truth. The key is persistence. You must hold to the assumption of wealth even when the outer world has not yet caught up. The moment you waver, the moment you doubt, you send mixed signals to the universe. But when you remain firm in your assumption, when you fully commit to the feeling of being rich, external circumstances must bend to your inner state. Think of the way a truly wealthy person moves through the world. They do not hesitate when making decisions. They do not shrink themselves to fit into places of lack. They operate with certainty, with confidence, with ease. They expect the best because they assume they deserve it. They do not entertain thoughts of limitation. They do not let temporary setbacks shake their belief in their wealth. They live in the knowing that money flows to them, and so it does. You must train yourself to think and act in this way. Begin by observing your self-talk. How do you speak about money? Do you say things like, "I can't afford that," or "I never have enough"? If so, you are affirming lack. Instead, shift your language. Speak as if money is always available to you. Say, "Money flows easily into my life," or "I always have more than enough." Words shape belief, and belief shapes reality. Next, pay attention to your emotions. Do you feel anxious when thinking about money, or do you feel secure and at peace? If you feel fear, you are reinforcing scarcity. But if you cultivate a sense of ease, of trust, of gratitude, you align yourself with the frequency of wealth. Wealth is not just about the numbers in your bank account, it is a state of being. When you feel rich, you are rich, and soon the physical evidence will follow. Your actions must also align with your new assumption. This does not mean spending recklessly or living beyond your means. It means behaving in ways that reflect abundance. A wealthy person does not hoard money out of fear. They use it freely, knowing more will come. They invest in themselves, in their growth, in their well-being. They prioritize value over cost, knowing that quality always pays off. They do not make decisions from a place of lack, but from a place of confidence and foresight. If you want to manifest wealth, you must start living in that energy now. Do not wait for money to arrive before you feel abundant. Find ways to cultivate that feeling in the present moment. Treat yourself with the care and respect of someone who is financially free. Dress in a way that makes you feel prosperous. Surround yourself with environments that reflect success. Make decisions from a place of empowerment, not fear. When you align your thoughts, emotions, and actions with the reality of being super rich, the universe has no choice but to deliver that reality to you. Your external world is a reflection of your internal state. If you want to see wealth manifest, you must first claim it within. Feel it, embody it, live from it. Wealth is not something to chase, it is something to become. And the moment you fully assume that identity, everything else will fall into place. There is an invisible bridge between you and the wealth you desire, and that bridge is built by your assumption. It is not hard work alone, not luck, not external validation that determines whether or not you experience abundance. It is your ability to assume the reality of wealth before it appears in the physical world. The way you see yourself dictates the conditions of your life. If you see yourself as struggling, no matter how much effort you put forth, your reality will reflect that struggle. But if you see yourself as someone for whom wealth is natural, for whom prosperity is effortless, then you will find that the world conforms to your inner conviction. The world is not separate from you. It is not happening to you. It is responding to you. The circumstances you see today are simply the reflection of past assumptions. They are the residue of old beliefs that once felt real to you. But just as those beliefs created your current reality, new beliefs can create an entirely different one. If you accept the assumption that you are already rich, you will see the physical confirmation of that assumption materialize in ways you cannot logically predict. The method by which wealth arrives is not your concern. Your only responsibility is to persist in the assumption that it is already yours. Most people attempt to change their lives by manipulating external conditions. They work harder, seek new opportunities, try to force outcomes. But all of this is secondary. The primary cause of all change is internal. The person who shifts their assumption shifts their life. You are not at the mercy of circumstance. You are the creator of it. To assume the state of wealth is not to wish for it, not to hope for it, but to accept it as a fact. Wishes acknowledge separation, but assumption claims possession. It is the difference between standing outside a house and knocking on the door versus stepping inside and making yourself at home. When you assume wealth, you do not beg for it. You do not question it. You rest in the certainty that it is already yours. Think about the person who is truly rich. They do not wake up wondering if they are wealthy. They do not second guess whether money will come to them. They live in a state of knowing. Their assumption is so deep that they no longer think about it. It simply is. And because they accept this reality so fully, money moves in their life effortlessly. Their businesses thrive, opportunities seek them out, doors open without struggle. This is not because they are lucky. It is because they have assumed the role of wealth. Their assumption draws to them everything that matches it. This is why so many people remain stuck. They try to change their outer world without first changing their inner identity. They take actions from a place of lack, thinking that if they just do more, they will finally reach abundance. But action alone, without assumption, is empty. If deep down you still see yourself as someone who is struggling, every action you take will be tainted with the energy of struggle. But when you assume wealth first, your actions flow naturally from that state and they become powerful. You no longer act out of desperation, but out of inspiration. You no longer chase opportunities, but attract them. The moment you assume wealth, reality begins to rearrange itself. It may not be visible immediately, but the shift has already occurred. The world takes the shape of your consciousness, and once you have entered the state of wealth within, external confirmation must follow. You will find unexpected income arriving, opportunities revealing themselves, connections forming that lead to financial increase. It is not magic, it is law. The assumption of wealth is the seed and reality is the soil. When you plant the right seed and persist in its growth, the harvest is inevitable. This is why assumption is more powerful than effort alone. How many people work tirelessly, yet never escape financial struggle? How many chase money only to find it slipping through their fingers? And yet others seem to attract wealth with ease, moving through life as if prosperity is a given. The difference is assumption. One believes money is scarce, difficult, and elusive. The other believes money is abundant, easy, and natural. And so, each receives the reality that matches their belief. You do not need to know how the money will come. You do not need to figure out every detail. Your only job is to remain unwavering in your assumption that wealth is already yours. Doubt is the only thing that can break the bridge between you and your desire. The moment you question whether or not you will become wealthy, you introduce resistance. But when you assume without hesitation, when you move through your day as if you are already living in the wealth you desire, then the world has no choice but to reflect that reality back to you. To reinforce this assumption, live from it now. Do not wait for money to appear before you feel wealthy. Begin carrying yourself with the confidence of a financially free person. Make decisions from a place of security, not fear. When you look at a price tag, do not immediately think, I can't afford this. Instead, shift your mindset to, money is always available to me. When you spend, do so with gratitude and trust rather than scarcity. When you think about the future, imagine it as a certainty, not a possibility. Every thought, every feeling, every action is a vote for the reality you wish to experience. If you repeatedly affirm lack, you remain in lack. If you repeatedly affirm abundance, you will see abundance. It is not about forcing yourself to believe something that feels untrue. It is about persisting in the assumption until it becomes second nature. Just as a person learns to walk, to write, to drive, you can learn to assume wealth with such confidence that it becomes effortless. The mind is the architect of experience. Everything that appears in your world first existed as an assumption within you. Your financial reality is a mirror of your state of being. If you want to see something different in the mirror, do not try to change the reflection, change the source. The moment you truly believe yourself to be wealthy, independent of external proof, is the moment you set in motion the forces that will bring that wealth into tangible form. This is the great secret of those who seem to have an unshakable flow of prosperity. They are not reacting to the world, they are creating it. They do not wait to see before they believe first and then they see. This is the law, this is the truth. And the moment you take hold of this understanding, the moment you cease wavering between old beliefs and new ones, that is the moment everything will begin to change. That is the moment everything will begin to change. There is an energy that surrounds everything you do, and this energy is shaped by your self-concept. If you see yourself as someone who has to struggle for wealth, your actions will reflect that struggle. If you see yourself as someone for whom wealth is natural, your actions will reflect ease and confidence. This is not about pretending, nor is it about forcing yourself to act a certain way. It is about shifting into the state of wealth internally, so that your external world begins to take its shape. Everything begins within. Your thoughts, your emotions, your beliefs, they all radiate outward and create the circumstances of your life. Most people act from a state of lack. They worry about money. They hesitate before making purchases. They second-guess their financial decisions. Even when they try to make more money, their actions are infused with desperation, which only pushes abundance further away. But there is another way. There is a way to move through life as if you are already wealthy, as if money is already flowing to you effortlessly. And when you do this, reality has no choice but to respond in kind. Think about the person who is truly rich, not just financially, but in their entire state of being. They do not move through life with fear or hesitation. They do not shrink away from opportunities, nor do they question whether or not they deserve abundance. Their entire being radiates confidence and ease because they have assumed a state of wealth. They do not hope for money, they know it is theirs. And because they live in that knowing, their actions reflect it. They invest in themselves without fear. They give generously without hesitation. They receive money effortlessly because they expect it. The key is to embody this state before external evidence appears. Most people wait for proof before they change their beliefs, but that is not how reality works. You must first assume the feeling of wealth, carry yourself with the presence of someone who is financially abundant, and then, naturally, your world will shape itself to reflect this assumption. When you begin to act as if you are already wealthy, something profound happens. Your mind starts to believe it. And when your mind believes it, the world follows suit. This is not about reckless spending or making irresponsible choices. Acting as if you are wealthy does not mean throwing money away. It means aligning your actions with the confidence and certainty of someone who knows that money is always available. It means making decisions from a place of trust rather than fear. The person who believes they are wealthy does not panic when they spend money. They know it will come back. They do not shrink in hesitation when opportunities arise. They step forward boldly. They do not fear generosity. They give freely, knowing they exist in a flow of infinite abundance. Every moment of your day is an opportunity to embody the state of wealth. When you wake up in the morning, do you feel rushed and anxious? Or do you take your time, moving with the ease of someone who is in control of their life? When you make purchases, do you focus on what you are losing, or do you trust in the circulation of money, knowing that it is always returning to you? When you speak about money, do you reinforce the idea of struggle, or do you affirm that you are always provided for? These small choices accumulate, and over time they form the foundation of your new reality. One of the most powerful ways to reinforce this state is to carry yourself as if you are already living in the wealth you desire. Pay attention to your posture, your movements, your expressions. Do you walk with confidence or do you shrink in doubt? Do you speak with certainty or do you hesitate in fear? The way you carry yourself sends a message to your subconscious mind. And the subconscious mind is what shapes your reality. When you begin to move through the world as a wealthy person, you align yourself with the frequency of wealth, and that frequency will draw wealth to you effortlessly. There is a profound shift that occurs when you stop seeing wealth as something outside of you and start seeing it as something that already exists within you. The external world is only a reflection of your internal world. If you want to experience abundance, you must first create that abundance in your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions. This is why the people who act as if they are wealthy begin to experience wealth. They are not waiting for permission from the world. They are declaring their reality through their state of being. It is not enough to simply think about wealth. You must embody it. You must step into the version of yourself who is already rich, who already moves through life with ease and confidence. This is not about arrogance, it is about certainty. It is about knowing that you are the creator of your experience, that your state of being dictates what you receive. When you truly accept this, everything changes. Money starts flowing in from unexpected sources, opportunities appear effortlessly, doors open where before there were none. The secret is consistency. Many people try this for a day or two, but the moment they see no immediate change, they revert to their old ways of thinking. They doubt, they worry, they step out of the state of wealth and back into the state of lack. But the ones who persist, the ones who refuse to waver, they are the ones who see the miracles unfold. They are the ones who continue to act as if they are rich, not because they are pretending, but because they have accepted it as their reality. And because they accept it so fully, their world must reflect it. It is a law, not a chance occurrence. When you act in alignment with wealth, you invite wealth. When you act in alignment with scarcity, you invite scarcity. The universe does not decide for you, it only mirrors back the state you embody. If you hold yourself with the energy of a person who knows they are financially free, then your world will begin to shift to match that assumption. The next time you find yourself hesitating in fear, shift your state. The next time you hear yourself speaking about money as if it is difficult to obtain, change your words. The next time you feel yourself shrinking in uncertainty, straighten your posture, lift your chin, and remind yourself that you are already abundant. Every moment is a chance to reinforce your new reality. The more you embody the state of wealth, the more real it becomes. And once you fully accept it, once you make it your dominant assumption, you will see the physical world move in ways that seem miraculous. But they are not miracles, they are the natural result of your state of being. The world you experience is a direct reflection of your inner state. What you assume to be true, what you persist in feeling and believing, is what shapes the circumstances of your life. This is the foundation of creation. What you hold in your imagination with conviction must externalize itself in the world around you. When you assume the state of being super rich, when you truly embrace the feeling of wealth as if it is already yours, you shift the reality you dwell in. The mind does not distinguish between what is imagined and what is real. It simply accepts whatever state you dwell in as truth. And from that truth, it constructs the world around you. Most people wait for external proof before they believe something is real. They look at their bank account, their job, their circumstances, and allow those conditions to dictate how they feel about wealth. But this is backward. The external world does not create your inner world, it is your inner world that creates the external. If you want to experience wealth, you must first dwell in the feeling of wealth within yourself. You must assume the identity of someone who is already rich, who already possesses everything they desire, not just for a moment, not just as a fleeting thought, but as a sustained state of being. Think of a person who has always known wealth. They do not question whether or not money will come to them. They do not doubt that their needs will always be met. They move through life with a sense of certainty, of confidence, of ease. Their actions, their decisions, their posture, their voice, everything about them radiates abundance because they assume it to be natural. And because they hold this assumption, wealth continues to flow to them effortlessly. This is not luck, this is not chance. This is a direct manifestation of their state of being. Now consider someone who is constantly worried about money. They hesitate before making purchases. They stress over bills. They feel anxious whenever they think about their financial future. Even when they try to earn more money, their actions are infused with the energy of lack, with the assumption that wealth is difficult to obtain. And because they persist in this state, their external reality continues to reflect it. No matter how hard they try, they remain trapped in the cycle of scarcity. This is not because they are doomed to be poor. It is because they have not yet shifted their assumption of self. The secret to changing your financial reality lies in your ability to persist in the state of wealth. It is not enough to briefly imagine being rich and then return to your old beliefs of struggle. You must hold the feeling of wealth so firmly within yourself that it becomes your dominant reality. You must assume it so completely that you no longer question whether or not it is true. And once you do this, the world will begin to rearrange itself to match your assumption. This is where most people struggle. They assume wealth for a moment, but then they look at their current circumstances and let doubt creep in. They tell themselves, this isn't real. My bank account says otherwise. My job says otherwise. And the moment they do this, they step out of the state of wealth and back into the state of lack. They do not persist, and because they do not persist, their external world does not change. But the ones who do persist, the ones who refuse to accept anything less than their desired reality, they are the ones who see the transformation. Persisting in the state of wealth does not mean forcing yourself to believe something you do not truly feel. It means training yourself to dwell in the feeling of abundance until it becomes natural. It means waking up every day and stepping into the role of someone who already possesses the riches they desire. It means carrying yourself with the confidence, the ease, the certainty of someone who knows that money flows to them effortlessly. And as you do this, your world begins to shift in ways that seem almost miraculous. You may begin to notice unexpected financial opportunities appearing in your life. You may receive money from sources you never anticipated. You may find yourself drawn to actions and decisions that lead to greater wealth. But these are not coincidences. These are the inevitable results of your new state of being. You have chosen to dwell in the assumption of wealth, and the world must conform to that assumption. The key is unwavering faith. You must trust in the power of your imagination more than you trust in your current circumstances. You must believe in your inner reality even when the outer world has yet to catch up. This is the test of persistence. Can you hold on to the feeling of wealth even when your physical reality seems unchanged? Can you continue to act, think, and feel as though you are rich, even when the evidence has not yet appeared? Those who succeed in doing this are the ones who see their financial world transform before their eyes. This is not about wishing or hoping, it is about knowing. Wishing implies lack, hoping suggests uncertainty, but knowing is absolute. When you know you are rich, you do not question whether or not wealth will come to you. You do not worry about how it will happen. You simply accept it as fact, and because you accept it, the world has no choice but to reflect it back to you.